For years, people were told that the smart fridge was the future. Bigger screens, built-in cameras, voice control, shopping apps, family calendars, all packed into one expensive appliance that was supposed to make life easier. But talk to enough repair techs, and you start hearing a very different story. A refrigerator should be one of the simplest, longest-lasting machines in your house. Instead, a lot of modern models are turning into oversized gadgets with cooling parts attached. And that changes everything. Because once a fridge depends on software, touch panels, sensors, app support, and extra electronics, it stops being just a kitchen appliance and starts aging like a phone. In this video, we're going through the mechanics forever list, the kinds of fridges that are actually built to last, the features that usually shorten their lifespan, and why some of the most expensive models on the market may be the worst long-term buy. Number 1. Smart Layer. A refrigerator is supposed to be one of the most boring machines in the house. That is not an insult. That is the whole point. The closer it stays to being a well-insulated cold box with a dependable sealed system, the better chance it has of lasting. The moment a fridge starts acting like a giant tablet with doors, cameras, streaming, smart home control, voice assistants, calendars, and shopping features, you are no longer just buying refrigeration. You are buying consumer electronics attached to refrigeration. And those two things do not age on the same schedule. Samsung's current Family Hub lineup is a good example of where the market is going. Big screens, AI image recognition, smart home control, media playback, family notes, phone mirroring, and remote viewing from your phone. Some of those features also require Wi-Fi and a Samsung account to work the way they are advertised. At the same time, Samsung's own support pages already document the other side of the deal. The Family Hub mobile app has been discontinued, and some features are no longer supported after updates. That does not mean every smart fridge instantly becomes useless. It means the software side can change, lose features, or feel old long before the cooling system should be done. A mechanic sees that and reads it very simply. The cold box may still have years left, while the smart layer starts behaving like an aging phone. That is a bad trade if your goal is long ownership. And even when the cooling still works, a fridge that loses its connected features starts feeling broken to the buyer because the product was sold as an experience, not just as refrigeration. So the first forever rule is easy to remember. Do not buy a refrigerator where the story depends on the screen. If the sales pitch is mostly about what it can stream, display, recommend, sync, or recognize, you are paying for a feature set that lives on updates, accounts, apps, and support decisions. A real long-life fridge should still make perfect sense if the Wi-Fi drops, the app disappears, or the display never gets touched again. If removing the smart layer would make the product feel half empty, it probably was never built to stay in your kitchen for a long time. Once you notice that mismatch, a lot of premium refrigerators start looking less like long-term appliances and more like short-cycle gadgets wearing stainless steel.
Number 2. Layout first. Once you strip away the marketing, the next thing that matters is the shape of the machine. This is where a lot of buyers get tricked by showroom logic. They shop for the look of the doors and the shelf photo before they think about airflow, size, and how much hardware is needed to make that layout behave. The Department of Energy says top freezer models tend to use less energy than bottom freezer or side-by-side designs. And it also says refrigerators with fewer doors reduce air leakage. It also notes that the most energy-efficient models are typically in the 16 to 20 cubic foot range. That is a huge clue. Bigger and flashier is not automatically better. More doors, more storage zones, and more specialty compartments usually mean more things coordinating the same job.
GE's own support material describes the basic top-mount airflow clearly. The freezer supplies cold air to both compartments through a damper. That is a simple path. A simple path is exactly what mechanics like, because it means the machine is doing less juggling every minute of the day. French door and multi-door designs can absolutely be convenient. They give you wide shelves, eye-level access, and a premium look that people like. But convenience and longevity are not the same category. When a fridge has extra doors, separated sections, extra fans, more sensors, more seals, and more controls trying to keep different spaces consistent, you are adding coordination problems that a plain top freezer barely has to think about. People often call that a trade-up because the kitchen looks better and the storage layout feels nicer. From a repair point of view, it is really a trade sideways. You gain access and presentation, but you lose simplicity. The forever list is not saying every French door unit is bad. It is saying that if you want the closest thing to a long-haul refrigerator, start with the design that asks the machine to do the fewest tricks. Shop the physics first.
Shop the door count second. Shop size based on what you actually use, not on what looks impressive in a store. A normal, correctly sized top freezer will almost never win the beauty contest, but it keeps winning the part that matters. It stays focused on cooling food instead of managing a bunch of extra moving targets. That is why a lot of the most reliable-looking refrigerators on paper are also the least glamorous in the showroom. Number 3. Skip the dispenser. This is where a lot of refrigerators quietly get more complicated than buyers realize. Through-the-door ice and water is always sold as a small convenience feature, but mechanically, it is not small at all. The minute you want cold water and ice coming through the front, you are asking the appliance to be a refrigerator, a plumbing setup, a dispensing system, and in many cases, a door-mounted hardware package all at once. That means more water supply hardware, more filters, more switches, more openings, and more service points over the life of the machine. The industry keeps pushing this further because extra convenience sells well. GE support material even points out that some French door models include or offer dual ice makers, which tells you exactly where the trend goes once features start stacking. The better sign is when the simple version of the product still exists. Whirlpool, Amana, Frigidaire, and GE all currently sell top freezer refrigerators where the ice maker is optional instead of built into the whole identity of the machine. That matters more than it sounds. Optional means the base refrigerator can stay cleaner and simpler, and you add the extra system only if you really need it. For a forever fridge, that is the smarter direction. If you can live with trays, a removable bin, or adding an ice maker later, do that. Do not force every daily cup of ice to ride on a permanent door system you may end up servicing long after the novelty wears off. And there is a bigger pattern here. The same brands that still offer optional ice makers on plain top freezer units are basically telling you that the low-complexity refrigerator is not dead. It is still on the market. You just have to ignore the premium display models long enough to notice it. The more the feature list talks about dual ice, beverage centers, front dispensers, and fancy door tricks, the more you should hear one thing in the background: extra parts, extra maintenance, extra chances for the fridge to feel broken even when the cold box itself is fine. For people chasing longevity, the safest dispenser is still the one that is not built into the door at all. The feature sounds luxurious, but in ownership terms, it often means you paid extra to give the refrigerator more ways to disappoint you.
Number 4. Simple, not old.
This is the part a lot of buyers get wrong after they become suspicious of modern appliances. They swing from smart fridge all the way to, I should buy the oldest refrigerator I can find because old means durable. That sounds good until the electric bill arrives. Energy Star says refrigerators over 15 years old could be costing you about $95 more per year to run. And on average, an old refrigerator uses about 20% more energy than a model that has earned the Energy Star. The Department of Energy also says the typical new refrigerator uses 75% less energy than its 1973 counterpart, while offering more storage space and more useful features. That means the real forever move is not nostalgia. It is selectivity. You want the gains that modern efficiency brought without paying for a pile of lifestyle electronics you do not need. In other words, simple new is often a better bet than romantic old. This matters even more with the garage fridge idea, because that is where old machines sit for years, quietly wasting power while doing a job a smaller, efficient unit could do better. There is another reason to stop turning old fridges into myths. Modern household refrigerators commonly use R600A, or isobutane, and the EPA classifies it as a flammable refrigerant in household refrigerator rules. That is not a reason to panic or avoid new units. It is a reminder that modern refrigeration is still a real service appliance, not a toy, and repair support matters. So do not confuse less complicated with ancient. A plain, new top freezer from a mainstream brand can give you current efficiency, a manageable parts ecosystem, and fewer failure-prone extras, all at the same time. The mistake is thinking you have to choose between efficiency and longevity. You do not. What you actually have to choose between is useful engineering and distracting engineering. Useful engineering makes the cold box work better. Distracting engineering makes the product page look more futuristic. Those are not the same thing, and a forever list should never pretend they are. The smart move is not to buy the oldest box in town. The smart move is to buy the simplest box that still benefits from modern efficiency and still has parts, support, and a realistic path to service. The strongest anti-smart fridge argument is not new is bad. It is new can still be simple, and simple is what lasts. Number 5. Actual checklist. Now translate all of that into what you should really look for in the store. Start with a top freezer. Keep the capacity reasonable, because DOE says the most energy-efficient options are usually around 16 to 20 cubic feet, and bigger cabinets generally use more energy. Favor fewer doors. Skip the front touchscreen. Be very careful with any model whose value depends on Wi-Fi, accounts, or app features. Skip through the door ice and water unless you have a real daily use case that is worth the added complexity. A model that is ice maker ready is a much better sign than a model that treats the dispenser like the star of the show. That is why current top freezer lines from Frigidaire, Whirlpool, Amana, and GE are still worth paying attention to. They prove the simple refrigerator is still being sold right now, not just remembered online. Then check the support side before you ever look at the color finish. Can you easily find a servicer? Are parts easy to identify? Is there a normal support channel that looks built for repair, not just for marketing? Can you tell before you buy whether the brand expects the unit to be maintained or just replaced? Those questions matter more than any ad copy about lifestyle convenience. At the premium end, this is where brands start separating themselves in a serious way. True offers a servicer locator, technical support, and online parts search.
Sub-Zero goes even further with factory-certified service, genuine parts support, stated long-term parts availability, and claims that its products are tested to last over 20 years of daily use. That is the kind of language worth paying for if you are spending premium money. Not the size of the screen. Not AI grocery tricks. Not entertainment built into the door. The Mechanics Forever list is really just a filter for priorities. If the product page talks more about service, parts, controls, and refrigeration basics than about cameras, music, calendars, or smart home theater, you are getting warmer. If it talks more about software than about support, back away. The best fridge for long ownership is usually the one that sounds almost boring when it is described honestly. Because boring is exactly what a refrigerator should be. In this category, boring is not settling for less. Boring is how you avoid turning a cold box into another device that ages like a screen.